want to discuss. I'm going to do another phenomenological video here, video about phenomenological ideas, where I'm going to go from basically from empathy to the Lebensvelt, or the Lifeworld. And I'm kind of going to incorporate all this into another discussion, probably. The phenomenological idea of empathy is not like the ethical one. Empathy is the experience of a body as other, or as another. And this is sort of focusing on thinking about the other's subjectivity, thinking about, or being subjective with them, or being inter-subjective with them, because we have the body, or what is often called the lived body, and we have other. So in the lived body we have subject and we have object, which Schopenhauer would also agree. We have the subject and we have the object, and the lived body can be divided, because you have the lived body is the experience of yourself as yourself, which means understanding basically your subject being what your sense is in the rest of yourself. And so basically what this does, it allows you to sort of grab at other things and sort of do things. It allows you to change your point of view. This is just a completely so I don't know, this is just sort of the way that you look at the world, because that you have the lived body, and then you have the subject, and you have the object being the rest of yourself besides your senses. And then this is how you have empathy. Now, through what Husserl says, that Husserl says that you get empathy through apperception, or apperception is what Hegel would call comprehension. Comprehension, according to Hegel, is now I'm not saying that this is what Husserl said. I'm saying this is just I'm just comparing the way Hegel explains comprehension and the way that Husserl describes apperception. Husserl describes comprehension as understanding a certain thing in the way that you can understand it, understanding it for yourself, which can involve getting yourself into it, a little bit. The lived body will use apperception, and Hegel describes comprehension as, understanding it by sort of involving yourself, which, he says will distort it, but I disagree. I don't fully disagree, but it's possible. And then Husserl says that the lived body achieves empathy through this apperception, and through this apperception towards empathy, you get what is called intersubjectivity. So this is where if you have this intersubjectivity through empathy, through apperception, you get empathy by the lived body. You can get intersubjectivity. Now, what this means to Husserl, Husserl has a critique or a discussion of what this is. This is engaging in others' emotions and all of this stuff, and feelings and stuff like that. So, what this means to phenomenological thinkers is objectivity, or getting as close to objectivity as one can get, because object X being observed by all subjects equals objectivity. So I guess I want to think about how you get objectivity from empathy and apperception, because when you are yourself a lived body, You try to assimilate yourself into the environment, and you use that perception to have empathy, and you understand the thoughts and emotions about the other people, others around you, and you're focusing on the subjectivity, their subjectivity, and you sort of, if this happens enough, I guess I can see how you can get it, how this can snowball, where you can get a large amount of agreement from lived body to lived body, and you can have intersubjectivity. Now, phenomenological philosophers say this, and Husserl says that this is objectivity, because if like 15 people look at this pen and say that, hey, this is a pen, we all agree this is a pen, this is what they call objectivity, or getting as close to objectivity as is possible. Now, I want to think about that. I want to think about the idea of lived body to lived body, and getting in this perception of the other's subjectivity, and having empathy, and having this snowballing thing where you get intersubjectivity. I agree that this can definitely happen. This happens all the time, which is why some people agree. And I guess that I would not characterize this intersubjectivity as objectivity at all. As an idealist, I would say that with this intersubjectivity, you can be more verified you can be a little bit more sure that what you're seeing is, objective. But I disagree with that. But I have a different point. I have more points beyond this to say. But with this phenomenological viewpoint of the epoche and all that stuff, and we all, and us all having the same sort of conscious experience and appearance, or what we think of the same things, then with the phenomenological epoche, we're looking at our conscious experiences as things in themselves, as beings themselves. So if we all have the same things in themselves, then I can see how this is as close to objectivity as possible. Objectivity in the sense that we are all perceiving the same or quite similar beings, which happen to be just conscious experiences, which we are not trying to see if they're physical objects or not. So, having said that, I agree with this discussion of intersubjectivity a lot. I totally agree with it. I'm sorry, this is swaying my idealist ideas, and I don't want to do that. This is very hard for me to let go. So if I'm stopping too much, then that's because I'm continuing. I thought about this before I made this video. So this is just me thinking further and further into whether my idealist Schopenhauer standpoint is as good as this one is. Now, to go on to further crush the idea of idealism from Schopenhauer, we have what is called, by Husserl in the Crisis of the European Sciences, the Lebensvelt, which in Deutsch means Lifeworld. Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Nein? I'm sorry, I'm losing it because I'm thinking a lot about idealism. I'm losing my mind. I apologize. Lebenswelt. This is the world that we all live in. Someone called this the environment, but this is the world we all live in. Husserl calls this the background or the horizon of all experience. This is that which an object can stand by itself and have its differences. This is how we can just look at this pen and say how this pen is different from this book. This is how I can say that these two things are different. Because of the life world, these two things are different, according to him. But the meaning of the life world only stands for those who are within that life world. So this is personal and it's intersubjective. So we have this intersubjectivity in the life world. There's intersubjectivity in the life world that is there. So going back to the epoche, we have this idea where we're looking at things as things in themselves. We're looking at conscious experiences and appearances as things in themselves. If you can have this snowballing intersubjectivity in the sense of the epoche, then you can get what is called a life world. Because if this intersubjectivity snowballs enough, then you can have what is called a life world where the meaning of things only stands for the people who are in it, and this is a background for everything that is experienced. And so that's basically I don't know. I want to think about that further, because I think this is what we are in. I totally agree with Husserl about the life world. Now, this makes me think that idealism is sort of pointless. Well, I take that back. Idealism is not pointless. It is something that should be done later. This whole thing I've been working on, I've been thinking about and doing idealism all summer, and now I come to this thought and it all falls down. But there's one, thing which, depends on how the, this was one little thing that can depend on how this life world is created, which kind of has some bearing on intersubjectivity. And now, this might be one little thing to save the thing of idealism. It's called Intersubjectivity Verifiability, which is the rating of the ability of certain things to be passed on and reproduced. So, if we have a idea that this is a phone and this is a pen, then we have to, if we're having this verifiability of intersubjectivity with its reality in relation to other things, then we have to, I guess, rate how well it can be passed on and the idea of it can be reproduced. Which is, I guess, what is thought to be how we get out of solipsism. But I think that this idea of intersubjectivity verifiability is pretty much impossible. But those are my thoughts about it. But, I mean, I guess I want to go back to the life world. The life world is, it's the way I want to look at things. I want to look at things through this phenomenological viewpoint now. I guess I think phenomenology is prior to idealism. That's my conclusion. So phenomenology is prior to idealism, and that idealism should be done after phenomenology. Now, what I mean by that is, I guess I should say that in a different video, but I don't know. Thank you.